Hi, my name is Michael Rhodes, and today I'm going to talk about unconventional health. So what is unconventional health? Well, I guess it's conventional to talk about your sicknesses and your ailments. My brother and I, when we meet, he takes me through all his health problems, and then he says, so what about you? And I might tell him, I don't advise hugging a stinging tree or a few things like that, but I don't seem to have health problems. I focus on my body with a lot of love and with a lot of care and a lot of respect. Most people treat their body as it gets older as if it's an old pair of clothes. And then they start believing they're getting older, and so they get older. And in fact, I think it's been proved scientifically that if we think old, we sort of switch something on in our bodies that allows us to get old. And it seems an unwise idea to me. Whereas if we focus on our youthfulness, no matter what our age, it's a bit like aging and maturity. I know quite a lot of elderly people who are still immature. They haven't matured since they were children. They argue, they fight, and they can be nasty to each other, husband and wife, unpleasant to each other. They have a habit, but they're very immature. I have met men and women, young men and women, in their 20s who are very mature in their outlook on life, very mature in their relationship with life. So maturity is not something that necessarily goes with age. And it's exactly the same with health. There is the unconventional part of it. If you criticize yourself constantly, how can you expect your body to respond positively to an ongoing negative criticism? You look in the mirror. Most people, sorry, but they don't like what they see. And so it almost starts a negative reaction where they tend to feel critical about themselves, and it goes through all the day. A body that is criticized, a person that is criticized, what are they actually criticizing when we criticize ourselves? Probably somewhere between 40 and 60 trillion cells are being criticized. Our emotions are being criticized, and our mental is being criticized. So we're criticizing a whole lot of what we are. Now, is that going to thrive? Is that going to absolutely prosper? Just take, for instance, this morning when you wake up, your best friend is there, a person you call your best friend. And you get out of bed and you walk down, and they said, had you forgotten we're going out today? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I'd forgotten. Well, I hope you're going to clean up a bit. You look a hell of a mess now, your friend says. Well, that's not a good start to the day. And so you put some clothes on to go out. You're going into the city shopping. And so your friend, when you come down, says, oh, yes, is this the best you can do? I mean, my God, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Did you see yourself? Or did you just dress in a room where there's no mirrors? I mean, have you seen yourself? And you start to think, well, this is weird. This doesn't sound much like a day. It doesn't sound too good. But you say, yeah, this is me. So off you go out, and you're going to have you don't eat anything. You go and see a movie, and your friend comes out and says, oh my God, Mel Gibson, he's looking old, isn't he? Did you see his jowl hanging? Did you see he's got these jowls hanging there? Actually, they look a bit like yours. You've got the same jowls as Mel Gibson. You look a bit peculiar with your jowl, especially when you go like this. Your jowls really hang down, and you're feeling a whole lot worse. I mean, you're not dressed good enough, and now you don't look good enough. And then you have lunch together, and your friend says, are you really eating that? Is that what you're going to eat? I mean, you do realise it's very fattening, don't you? I mean, you do realise like a minute in the mouth and about 10 years on the hips. You do realise that, don't you? And so your day is not going well. And so it continues all the way through the afternoon. Are you going to invite that person home to dinner that evening? Probably not. The sooner they get out of your life, the better. But this is you, that other person. This is you through your daily life. You could say, but I don't hear all that. I'm not listening. You might not be listening, but your subconscious program of self-attack and self-sabotage is taking away your health. Day by day, slowly eroding your health. So how do you think you're going to be when you're 70? If you've been doing that for 70 years, you are going to be going downhill. Now, all animals have a life expectation of 7 times as longer than it takes to develop the physical body. This applies to all animals, including humans. I've mentioned this before. I'm reminding you. And so 7 times, we'll say 20 years, we'll develop to 20, is 140. Why do we not live to be regularly 140? If it's a lifespan of a rat and an elephant, why should it not be our lifespan? 7 times the development of the physical body. Because we talk to ourselves. We have self-conversation. And that self-conversation is eroding our energy. It's eroding our vitality. It's eroding our joy and our divinity. And it is eroding our health. That is why we do not live those great ages. And if a person could grow up and never do any of that, one of the reasons that peasants live longer lifespans than most people, the uneducated peasants, they reasonably, more than us, they accept themselves the way they are. And as they get older, they are honoured as elders. We stick ours away, stick them in a home and forget about them. Many people don't forget about them. I'm afraid the majority do. And so we live in a way that erodes our health. It erodes it emotionally, it erodes it mentally, and that means it's going to be eroded physically. Physical health, an unconventional way of looking at it, is your relationship with yourself. If your relationship with yourself is subconscious, then you can have no relationship with dynamic, vital, powerful health. Your body is on its way down. From the moment it reaches a certain age, it begins to go downwards. And it doesn't have to be that way. Dementia now, we're almost talking of dementia as if it's a normal state of being. It is not. Dementia is us screaming to ourselves, the way we are living is not working. Dementia, I have noticed the pattern, strikes most at left brain dominant people. Left brain dominant people are the most critical of themselves. They are the perfectionists. No right brain person is a true perfectionist. You could say Carolyn in some ways likes to do things perfectly, but she's not a perfectionist. Her attitude is love does things, love pays attention to detail. That is a completely different energy attitude to a perfectionist. Love pays attention to detail. That is the right brain perspective of a perfectionist. Not, this isn't done right, I could do it better. I have a friend and he was redecorating his house. And every room he took me in to show me, none of them were finished. I said, you haven't finished any rooms. Yeah, well, but. I said, but why haven't you? He said, well, I said, I can tell you why. Because the moment that room is finished, you will criticize it. It will not be good enough because you're such a perfectionist. So if you don't finish the rooms, you don't have to criticize them. Well, yeah, there is truth to that. I said, of course there is. It's in your life. And that doesn't make him bad or wrong. But it does detract from his potential. It does hold him back. We have other things we don't realize. We don't realize regarding our health, the power of emotions. Let us just simply say that you are caring for an aunt. And this is an aunt you love. And she is dying with cancer. Most people have an emotional attachment when they are carers, because they generally care for somebody they feel that they love. But love is not an attachment. If you love that person, you are immune to whatever they have. And yet, 40% of all carers die before the person they're caring for. Why do you suppose that is? Because they have a strong emotional attachment to that person. They have a strong emotional agenda. And the emotions, now this is where it gets interesting. The emotions do not know the difference between your body and that person's body. They only know where you focus. So if you go to a movie and you see horror movies, psychologically horrific movies like Silence of the Lambs, which I haven't seen, but I read enough about it to know that I don't want to see it, a psychological, what you're watching has an effect on your emotional body. Consciousness does not know the difference between your emotional body in whether it's a movie or real life. There is no difference to that. Everything is energy. And the emotions that you've created watching a movie, it's no good your intellect saying, but that's in a movie, that doesn't count. It doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. Life is all consciousness. And that movie is something that's come into your life and has affected your state of consciousness and taken you down into drama and horror and pain. And that's what your emotional body knows. So the Silence of the Lamb has now brought down your health. It's reduced it. Some people like those movies and so they watch them more often. And never do they realize that this emotional hit, this lowering of the emotions is going to affect their mental, emotional, and eventually their physical health. And so how many people connect dementia with a lifetime of negative habits, of not realizing the powerhouse is their emotions? How many of them have no idea of that? Of course they don't. And when they have in family quarreling, family bickering, how many of them realize they are in a daily war? They go to battle every day with the family, and all the family squabbles and arguments and with other people in their lives, they do not realize that they are eroding their health. I could talk on this subject for a long time. They have no idea that they're affecting their lifespan, their health. People say we're born with so many days. Nonsense. You are the creator of your life. You are the creator of your death. You put it in place. And it doesn't mean you do it bad or wrong, but it means that, yes, some of us are born with a genetic code of enormous strength and health, and others are born with a very weak one. We created that. And incidentally, you can change any genetic code by focusing on love, by being loved, by loving your body, by talking to the cells in your body. You can change any genetic pattern. You don't have to have boobs removed because your mother and grandmother had a breast cancer. It does not work that way. But if you follow their same line of thinking, then you better have them removed. You are the creator of your life. And when that is created from negativity, from criticism, from judgment, and I'm not good enough, which is so much part of our program, then your health will fail. If you decide you are good enough, that you are a divine being, that you're perfect, and every day that goes past, you are getting healthier and healthier, and your brain is getting better and better, and you thank your body for that response, then in your middle 80s, that is what is happening, because you are the creator. This is why I recommend that you consciously choose love.